You know that. Come on. All right, listen. Okay, now, this is a formula God gave me. Just write this down. Some of you need to write this for later. Anger aborts love. We're always so worried about abortion. I am concerned about abortion, but I'm concerned about the abortion in the body of Jesus Christ, that when the living Son of God comes into us when we are born again, he impregnates us with a living incorruptible seed. And anger in Amos 1:10 and 11, the translation of the word anger, it means to slit from a womb. It's abortion. It's killing the love that's inside of you. My anger kills my love. Anger aborts love, but forgiveness aborts anger. Ooh. See, whoever you're mad at, the reason you're still angry, you haven't prayed a blessing on them. Because I'm telling you, the minute I pray a blessing on somebody, boy, that anger subsides. I actually get a little whistle back. I'm like, hey, this stuff works. Like, big duh. That's what God said, obviously. Now, I just want to read you the little passage from Amos 1:10 and 11. Just listen to this. Anger kills a good relationship. Because he pursued his brother. I love the word brother again. It's always that someone who's so dear. Because he pursued his brother with a sword, stifling all compassion, because his anger raged continually and his fury flamed unchecked. Every time you go to bed angry, that means your anger went to bed and it wasn't checked. And guess what it does? You wake up less in love. Less in love with your kids and less in love with your mate. You can go to bed mad at one of your kids and wake up less in love with that kid. Not that you would ever be upset with any of your children, since you have perfect kids, but with the rest of us, there are times if you don't pray a blessing on that child before you get up, you probably should lock yourself in the room because you are not in any good condition to be seen. Sometimes you think that people are just mean because they're mean. No, they haven't dealt with their anger issue. They haven't forgiven freely. They never forgave their dad for what he did when they were 10 years old. They never forgave the mom that stayed with the dad that would do that. And it haunts them their whole stinking life. Okay, so who needs to forgive? Listen to what a rabbi said. And I think this is a pretty good example of the courage to forgive. He said, before coming to America, I made a choice. I had to forgive Hitler because I did not want to bring Hitler inside of me to a new country. He made a choice because he knew if he didn't let that go, it would eat him alive in a free place. He'd be free physically, but he'd still be in a prison camp inside of him. Now, some of you in this room, these things I've said is a lot. I admit to you in Jesus' name, you're like, how dare you tell me to forgive my ex? A woman that was filming my Bozo video, she heard this message. She was burning mad. It's a wonder she even did my video. She's so mad at me because her husband ran off with her friend. And she's like, how dare you tell me to forgive my husband? Your husband didn't run off. You know, everybody always wants to make it equal. Well, you want to know what I've had to forgive? You know, let's not go there. So I said to her, let me tell you something. You are hurting yourself. You're carrying a burden much bigger than your husband betraying you. You're going to live with this burden your whole life if you don't pray a blessing on him. She said, I won't pray sexually transmitted diseases and all this other stuff. I said, no, that's a curse. You're supposed to pray a blessing. So she goes, well, how can I pray a blessing on someone I'm so mad? Ask God to bring to your mind something to pray for him. She gets in her car. She's so burning mad. What can I possibly pray for him? And all of a sudden, this thought came to her mind. He had a child from his first marriage who he's estranged from. Because when he betrayed the first woman, the child sided with the parent of the one betrayed, went with the mom. That's understandable. But he would not talk to his father, has never in years. So she's driving home in her car and said, okay, Lord, I pray that someday he's reconciled with his son. Does that benefit her? Not at all. Blessings has nothing to do with benefiting you, except for to set you free from your captivity. So God can release a blessing on your life that you've been, half the prayers that you don't get answered, because he's holding out, because he's waiting on you to forgive freely. He spread his arms and said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. You got to get up there, co-crucified. I die daily. I'm crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live. by faith. Now, think about the question at the bottom of your paper right now. Who do I need to forgive? Who do I need to pray a blessing on? Look at that question right now. Does someone come to your mind? You might not want to, you can fill it out, but I'm going to tell you a little story, and I'm going to challenge you one more thing to do. This big old boot is just a symbol. And I'm asking you right now to listen to Papa. I heard a wonderful story about a woman named Goethe, who when she was in a prison camp, the girls and the mamas were on one side and the dads and the sons were on another. And her daddy heard that the Germans were going to take the women on a long march into the mountains. And he had a thought, oh, it's June. These girls will go out barefooted and they'll freeze to death, you know, if they're going to go in the mountains. So her daddy managed to yell across the fence, Goethe, put your boots on. And she's thinking, boots, it's June. You got to be kidding. And she said, but being an obedient daughter, I obeyed my father and put my boots on. They started the march, and all of people who know history, that is that famous death march where the women, they marched the women into the mountains. They marched for 350 miles, and they killed the women by them freezing from their toes up in the mountains. Goethe lived because she listened to Papa. So when Papa says, freely I have forgiven you, freely forgive, end your own captivity tonight and forgive the person that came to your mind, and ask the Lord to give you a blessing to start praying on that person so you can be free in Jesus' name. Thank you.